The gates of the Washington estate loomed like silent witnesses, their iron bars etched with the weight of decades. Angela Washington stepped through, her heels clicking softly against the gravel path, her presence calm but commanding. A murmur rippled through the guests of the Bradford wedding, their chatter faltering as Victoria Bradford's sharp voice cut across the lawn. "Security! Remove this woman immediately!" Her designer watch glinted as she waved dismissively. "I will not have our family's reputation destroyed by some crasher looking for handouts." Angela didn't flinch. Her eyes, steady and unyielding, met Victoria's with a quiet intensity. "Ma'am, I believe there's been a misunderstanding," she said, her voice serene but firm. Victoria stepped closer, the venom in her whisper chilling. "Listen carefully. This estate is worth $30 million. These guests represent old American families. You do not belong here." Security advanced, but Angela didn't move. Instead, she walked with a purpose, her steps precise, avoiding loose flagstones and familiar hazards only someone who knew the estate intimately would notice. The staff froze mid-conversation, whispers spread like wildfire. The valet removed his cap. The head groundskeeper averted his eyes. Even the catering manager's hands shook slightly. Victoria noticed their behavior but misinterpreted it completely. "Why is everyone acting so weird?" she muttered. Angela passed the rose garden without looking down at the sprinklers, traced her fingers across the oak tree carved with initials decades ago, and walked past the carriage house shortcut like she had done it 1,000 times before. Victoria's irritation grew, a storm contained within her pristine posture. "What is she doing?" she hissed at the wedding planner. Angela's composure never wavered. She stopped at the reflecting pool her grandfather had installed in 1952, memorized every detail, and acknowledged Thomas, the elderly valet who had served her family for decades. His eyes welled with tears. "Miss, your father would be so proud," he whispered. Victoria's world tilted further into chaos, but Angela continued, quiet, deliberate, observing, noting, recording everything. The crowd's curiosity shifted. Their disapproval of Angela faltered as subtle recognition and fear rippled through them. Guests who had laughed and pointed now whispered in hushed tones. Even the staff, once terrified of Victoria, seemed emboldened. Angela knew the creaking floorboards, the hidden safe behind the library portrait, the windows that offered the best view of sunrise over Long Island Sound. Each detail reinforced her authority and unnerved the elite who had tried to dominate her. Victoria's temper flared. "Security, remove her immediately, or I will call the police myself." 2 guards stepped forward. Angela rose gracefully, her calm unbroken. Victoria's voice carried to the crowd, loud and accusatory. "I will not have wedding crashers disrupting our family celebration. The nerve of some people." The guests turned their attention. Whispers, judgments, and assumptions began to crumble as Angela revealed the truth, piece by piece. She returned to the gate, retrieved a briefcase, and opened it to reveal stacks of documents. The crowd leaned in. Angela's smile was small, enigmatic, and commanding. "Documentation," she said simply. Victoria's confidence faltered as she realized the game had shifted. Detective Ray Coleman stepped forward from the parking area, recognizing Angela immediately. "Jesus Christ," he breathed. "Angela, what are you doing here?" Victoria spun. "You know this woman?" Ray nodded slowly, his respect obvious. The tension was palpable. Angela's calm authority, her legal and familial knowledge, her silent power, commanded the entire estate. Victoria's threats became hollow, her control slipping. Angela methodically revealed property deeds, tax records, inheritance papers, and historical documentation proving that the estate had been in her family's possession for generations. The crowd gasped. The Bradfords' confident smirks began to fade. Victoria screamed, insisting she had rightful claim, but every document, every record, every subtle detail Angela had observed dismantled her lies. Thomas, the groundskeeper, confirmed what Angela already knew. Her family had paid for and preserved this estate for decades while the Bradfords lived there without permission. As whispers turned into stunned silence, Angela removed a black folder embossed with the federal seal. The weight of 2 decades of injustice and abuse rested in her hands. Victoria's laughter died, replaced by the cold reality of authority beyond her comprehension. Angela was not merely reclaiming her property, she was demonstrating the full power of law, legacy, and intellect. Victoria attempted to counter with accusations, threats, and manipulation, but each move was anticipated, catalogued, and elegantly dismantled by Angela. Witnesses, staff, and the police stood by, caught in the undeniable truth of her presence and her preparation. The estate itself seemed to recognize her, as if welcoming its rightful heir back after decades of intrusion. Michael Bradford, the bridegroom's son, stepped forward. "Judge Washington is the reason I am free to marry today," he revealed, voice thick with emotion. The crowd shuddered as they grasped the full scope of the humiliation they had participated in. Angela nodded, her judicial mercy shining through. She had observed power's use and misuse, documented injustice, and now, with grace and precision, restored the balance. She outlined the conditions for restitution, transforming Victoria from predator to penitent in the eyes of the entire estate. Maintenance funds were to be restored, scholarships established, and proper recognition given to loyal staff like Thomas. Even federal oversight could not deny her rightful authority. The crowd, once hostile, now witnessed a demonstration of true power, measured, lawful, compassionate, and devastatingly effective. Angela closed her briefcase, leaving behind a wedding that would be remembered not for celebration, but for revelation, justice, and the unforgettable lesson that true authority does not demand respect. It earns it. As she walked away, Victoria could only stare, powerless and humbled, while the estate reclaimed its dignity. The question lingered, echoing through the guests' minds. When you have real power, do you use it to elevate others, or diminish them?
Did this story touch your heart? Subscribe now and join our journey bringing real voices and untold stories to light. Comment your thoughts. Your voice matters.